But I think everything is important. What's more important is the price at which we buy. I'm very, very diffident about the price at which I buy. I'll not buy at a valuation which I feel is not very, and I always do a risk reward analysis because I believe that we invest in the realms of possibilities, right? And we can only invest in what we comprehend. We don't know what the future is going to be. And also I don't generally invest all the money at the same time. I invest slowly, then I review, I see things, then as things unfold, then I enhance my commitment. How does the idea start? Means we follow all micro and macro trends worldwide. Then we monitor corporate performance in India. We monitor price movements, right? Then
Pharma, PSUs, you made those calls. Tell us how you got those ideas.
I mean, PSUs, so PSU was very popular in 92, 93, then they didn't do well. But when you looked at the earnings growth and the earnings model and business model and domination of PSUs, I mean, I had no doubt that these earnings are going to grow. And PSU available 3 times, 2 times, 4 times earnings, below book, 10% yield, 12% yield. So it was, I mean, a no-brainer. Biggest relative, Ramesh. But when I find an idea whose prospects I think are very good and the valuations are very attractive, because you got to be conscious of one thing, that the great or good investment opportunities are not going to be many.
They're rare.
So when you get them, seize them, right? And seize them in a manner in which if you prove right, it makes some difference to your balance sheet. So I think that's what my attitude is.
But modern portfolio theory teaches us diversification. So you're telling me concentration is the key?
Yeah, but you can have diversification within concentration. I have a portfolio, say, of about 25 scripts, out of which the top 10 comprise 2/3 of the portfolio. But you'll find that all the top 10 are in different industries, right? So within my 25 scripts, I have investment in all types of industries. So I have concentration, that my portfolio is concentrated in 25 to 30 scripts. I think opportunity is the most important thing, apart from the price, because without opportunity, there is no profit, right? And Infosys would not have been Infosys for the revolution in the information technology industry, and that's where the opportunity of Infosys is, and that's why Infosys is a company of the size that it is. Well, we always knew that. First of all, we knew the valuations were incredulous.
No, but first you made money in the run-up, didn't you?
Yeah,
You were bullish on cement.
That was right on 89. Then, after Madhu Dhanwate's budget came, we made some money in trading. Then I took delivery of a lot of shares. I remember I took delivery of 14,000 shares of ACC, and I had no office. And I and one of my brother's clerks used to sit in the night and fill the shares. And even at those times, the shares were worth about 75 lakhs of rupees. I had no office. At night, we used to fill the shares. Then rest is history. ACC, I sold at 3,500. ACC went to 10,000. Well, Ramesh, I mean, see, if you say I'm a contrarian or optimist or pessimist, I will describe myself as a realist. So what is reality? 50 times earnings, 45 times earnings, 100 times earnings.
Does speculation teach you that? Huh? Does speculation teach you to be realistic? Because you're betting on leverage money?
I think so, because see, trading or speculation requires you to accept reality as it is rather than reality as you would like to have it. Right? Or वहाँ भाव भगवान है, हम कतरदान हैं. So you got to be influenced by price. So on the uprise, and see, you always have to wait for the right moment in trading. So when the markets went up, it was good. And see, I sold at 3,500. ACC had produced a result, I think, for October 91. The quarter ended September 91. We assessed, all of us friends, that this is the best result ACC will ever produce. And in December, we sold our shares. I sold my shares at 3,400, 3,500. And I have no regrets that the price went to 10. No. And ACC never produced a result.
Better than that.
Better than that.
But no regrets, despite the price tripling from those prices.
I won't say no regrets, Ramesh, but now I have learned that, I will not sell only by fundamentals and opinions. I will also sell looking at market conditions.
Psychology.
That has taught me, this psychology. But we always knew that this drive of this rise beyond, in January 92 and beyond, was all being, first of all, the valuations were incredulous, unsustainable. You were having equities at 3 times, 4 times replacement cost. It was the first time in my life when markets were, surely up to 2000 I did very well.
In the 2000 bull run?
Bull run, I bought a lot of software stocks, and I
Later
bought them
on
late because, even today I am half computer illiterate. So I never could understand or comprehend the importance of software. I realized it in 97, 98, and I bought a lot of software stocks, and I sold 80% of them at the peak. Only I was caught on the wrong foot when the markets went down post 2000, in 2001.
When the markets went down?
Yeah, I was not bearish. I was not bullish, although I was not bearish. Yeah, that was, see, whenever valuations reach a point, it was 120 times earnings, and McKinsey comes out with a report, and every grandmother, chacha, chachi, bar trader, panwala, everybody into stocks and just lurching to buy stocks. It's time to be, I was very bullish at PSU stocks that time.
That was the one call you made, that the privatization of PSU is inevitable like death itself.
My call was, okay, privatization is inevitable, and even today my call is that privatization is inevitable. We have done a very small part of the privatization program. I think the faster we do it, the more we'll save for this country. Anyway, the valuation, first of all, the earning models, the domination of public sector undertakings and the valuations, and the fact that the growth in earnings, because of the domination, was a done. And the valuations are incredible. You could buy, shipping corporation at 0.3 book and at a yield of 12%. I don't think so, Ramesh, for the kind of gains public sector stocks have given. I really bought aggressively I got bullish in 2000. I bought aggressively between 2000 and 2002. And we got the rewards in 2003. Well, I try to assess the markets, opportunities, what the prices are, what the prospects are, and then if I differ, I differ. I think in my investment, in my thought of things, being a contrarian, not a rule and not being ruled out.
But great fortunes in the market are made when you stand alone against the crowd, against the conventional wisdom.
Yeah, but again, the conventional wisdom, you have to, Ramesh, do it with great care, right? And you don't get many an opportunity, although you get opportunities. I agree with you that the great fortunes are made by standing against the crowd. But my idea is not to stand necessarily against the crowd. I am participating in this bull rally. I can tell you why I was bullish. I don't know if you know the background that VP Singh had become Prime Minister. We had a first coalition government in the center.
Right.
And VP Singh, the market had welcomed him with a huge rise. Then there was all talk, just as there was last year, about the communism, socialists, and Madhu Dhanvate was the finance minister, and the budget is going to be very, very socialist oriented, and all bull talk that they're going to impose a tax on education. And I know that state, the education is a state subject, and for revenue of 100 crores and the coalition government in power, they are not going to amend the constitution. So in all kind of fears, in the market, I thought that, the first part of the liberalization program in 83 was launched by Mr. VP Singh, only by lowered the income. And I thought although he's a Thakur, he's a businessman who understands the business. So I thought he will never give a budget which will hurt business.
A couple of his budgets as finance ministers were
positive. Were very good, very positive. And after he was the Prime Minister, he was giving the broad direction to the budget. And therefore, everybody was humongously, I can't tell you, Ramesh, you have to be there to understand the bearish sentiment. And everybody from the Panwala to Mr. Nimesh Shah and to Mr. Radhakishan Damani and Mr. Kamal Kabra, all of them extremely bearish.
All the market players were bearish.
All the market players, one to A to Z. And I thought, and I had made some money, my net worth had become 1.5, 2 crores, so I had the ability to take a risk. So then I thought, and I took a bet. And again, I must tell you that on the morning of the budget used to come in the afternoon, in the evening. At that time, I developed cold feet. And then I thought, boss, that I've taken this position, and if things go against me, and everybody might talk to us bearish. So what I had a lot of long positions, and in certain scripts I went short. Hedged. And because I thought if the budget doesn't work out as I have envisaged it, it will damage me financially. And then as soon as the budget came, the way the stocks went up,
it was clear to you the market was headed higher.
And I just doubled my positions as soon as the budget came, which was out. Yeah, Ramesh, see, I have one thing in my nature that when I believe in something, I'm not easily convinced. And if I'm convinced I believe in it, And I keep up to it. I'm not easily disconvinced.
And you put your money where your mouth is, don't you?
And I'm not afraid to put the money on the table. And I'm I'm a opinionated character. Those opinions don't come easily, they don't go away easily, and they cannot be influenced easily. So when you saw after September 11th, Ramesh, what had essentially happened, 3,000 Americans had died, right? That was point number one. So I thought all the fear post September 11th was a little misplaced. Second, for 10 years, the market had not gone anywhere. The earnings had nearly doubled, right? Then, we had achieved dematerialization in the fastest time possible in the world. We had a modernized trading system. Not only is the quantum of profits gone up, we've done a DuPont analysis, the quality of profits had gone up. But Ramesh, I remember, I think the first quality I need as an investor is to be an optimist. I remember what Peter Lynch says, that wars have come, and terror has come, and natural disasters have come, but company profits have gone up. So you have to be the eternal optimist if you want to invest in stocks.
Clearly.
And Ramesh, the kind of despair, the kind of valuations, the kind of quality of earnings, the increase on the return on equity had gone up, and every company you went to was fighting for every profit, paise of profit.
But your call was not bullish on the markets as much bullish on India. Isn't that true?
But that's linked to the markets. I don't think you can achieve a real bull market in any country's stock markets unless the country goes into a bull market.
A secular bull market.
A secular bull market. India's going to have secular growth. And I don't think that Indian stock markets are going to go up if India does not develop. The Nikkei went from 4,000 to 40,000. Japan became the second largest economy in the world. See, I think the first thing that most people miss out, and I could be wrong, the call is still open, is the fact that as Indians we are very impatient and we rightly feel that we can have far better growth than what we have. I think that makes us lose out in recognizing what we have already achieved and the circumstances in which we have achieved. I believe India is a runner without shoes. We have no infrastructure, we have a stifling bureaucracy, a lot of corruption. In spite of that, we are where we are, right? And if India is with shoes, where will India be?
So the genius was recognizing that things have changed for the better?
I would say, yeah, it was surely, and this was combined not only with the absurdly low valuations, right? With the sheer, fear of equity. Equity was a bad word, right? And, there was highest amount of insider buying. And markets at those levels, although they were not gaining, they were not losing when markets were indicating that come what may, they refused to go down. We believe markets are supreme. Markets will always do the right thing in the end, and markets will always do what they do. So we don't believe that someone will make the price and someone will manipulate it, or we'll make it, or we'll manipulate it. We believe if we are picking the right stocks at the right time, at the right value, we're going to make money. It may take time. I've been influenced most in my thought process by Mark Faber. And of course, Mr. Buffett.
Yeah.
Mark Faber has a very, first of all, I've learned from his, and I think I have some of the inherent qualities which he has, that look at things unemotionally, right? And don't forget the teachings of history, right? And if some excess is taking place on the either side, don't believe that it will go on and we should participate in that excess or we should not take benefit of that excess. See, Warren Buffett thoughts, the large part of his thoughts, even market timing, right? And also the fact that we invest in a business, we don't invest in a company. And you have to look at the essential business when you invest. What are the characteristics of that business? How can it grow? What is the valuation which you are buying? The importance of management.
But it doesn't bother him if the market closed down for 5 years, Warren Buffett. But it would bother you, wouldn't it? That's your life.
I don't think it's all humbug that it doesn't bother Warren Buffett. Why is the valuation of Coke come down?
No, but it doesn't bother him that the market would not give a price
that
on
matter,
it.
It doesn't bother me also. Because I don't...
But you're 24/7 in the market, Rakesh. I don't think you do anything else.
That doesn't mean, but I carry out two distinct activities. I don't sell my investments if the markets, if my trading activities are not good. The first thing is have an independent opinion. And don't have an opinion just to have it. Try and observe everything, read, but try and come to your own conclusions. And the fourth thing is, always remember that the means are more important than the ends. right? I think these are the essential, and believe that the market is, believe in the superiority of the market. Markets will always do what they have done. Don't believe that anybody can come and distort markets.
Are markets always right then, Rakesh?
They are.
But they always take things to irrational prices and they
But
correct
that's the
back a few years
opportunity. That's the
later.
opportunity. See, that they have taken that markets take price to irrational levels. Always believe that they will come back to rational levels. One thing I said, when you ask of your son, also you must ask him to have an open mind. It's only when you have an open mind, you have a rigid mind, then only can you learn from him. Maybe if somebody had to tell me what I know, what I have learnt in 20 years of my career in 1986, I wouldn't have learned them. I would have just become a slave to those thoughts.
Time and money are great teachers.
I think money is not a, experience and maturity is. You know, you start out very idealistic in life, all of us.
Yes.
Then you realize what the practicalities of life are, life being what it is. You know, even Gandhiji has said, what cannot be changed has to be accepted. I think when I invested in private equity in 1999, 2000, 2001, I never earned, but I learned. And I learned 2-3 very big lessons, that this principle of scalability, you know, size matters. And, you know, just because someone is doing 100 tasks well, he's going to do 1 crore tasks well, don't assume. And growth has its own challenges.
And also that they need some competitive moat in their businesses.
Yeah, they need some competitive moat, and that I learned earlier only. And another thing also is, you know, that a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, and why size matters and why large size companies are always safer investment than smaller companies. I think that's a very important lesson. Well, I had no money and my brother was a practicing chartered accountant, so he had a client whom he introduced me to, and she had a lot of money and she wanted to have enhanced return. So I, you know, she was very well provided for. I said, why do you want to, you know, go into stocks? But I can do one thing, that bank deposits pay, you used to pay about 10% that time. So I said, I told her, you will lend me some money, I'll give you 18% interest. So she said, securities. So I said, I have no security. I had 5,000 rupees in the bank, which is what I, you know, when I saved through my articles, and something my father had put in the bank when I was a child. So I told her that what I can do is, you give me a check of 1 lakh, I'll give you a security after 15 days. Then you give me a check of 1.5 lakhs, again I'll give you a security. And after some persuasion, she agreed. So that's how I got the first 2.5 lakhs. 85 to 89, this lady gave me 2.5 lakhs, then one other, there was a Christian gentleman, to whom I still pay, even today I pay him 24% interest. You know, I still have his money, he gave me 5 lakhs. I went and gave him a security, he returned it to me. I told him, Mr. Mendonca, you don't know what you're doing, you're giving me money, I'm in the stock market. He said, no Rakesh, I trust you. I had this 7.5 lakhs, then I earned about 8-10 lakhs rupees in trading in 1985-86 in investing trading. And then I bought 5,000 shares of Tata Power. Then the stock market went through a fairly...
Right, the logic of the Tata Power, the yield was greater than the interest you paid?
The yield was greater, and also, you know, the earnings was very good. And there was some talk there is, you know, the companies were getting a fixed return in accordance with the Electricity Act.
Correct.
Right? There was some talk that they will link it to the amount of power generated. At those times, you know, even the percentage of capacity used was far lower than today. While Tata Power's capacity utilization was 100%. So then Tata Power would have benefited very much if they had fixed the rate of return to the capacity utilized.
Correct.
And there was good yield, 150 rupees I bought, they used to give a dividend of 18 rupees.
That covered part of your interest cost.
Part of my interest.
But by 89 you had hit your stride, I mean you were looking at bigger things, it was more than just making a living?
Yeah, I went through 2-3, you know, there was bare years, I would say depressive years, but I never speculated. I had a badge, I used to go to the ring, I used to observe, right? And, you know, I felt then that the only way, then I asked my family for some financial help, which my father said, I will stick by what I said, you want to go to the stock market, right? And
stockbroking was not considered a fashionable profession in those days,
he said, you have to make it yourself. But Ramesh, I can tell you one thing, although my, you know, I live with my father in that house today, in the same house today, and when my dad, you know, although he did not financially help me, it was very critical that I lived in a joint family. I got married in 87, and I had no income. I had two, 3 very bad years in the market. Not that I lost money, but I didn't earn much.
The markets itself didn't give the opportunity.
Give the opportunity. And I was always very careful, as always.
But in 89, what made you make that contrarian call? There was still gloom.
You know, so, but although I was not earning anything because my father was looking after the house, looking after the kitchen, and I was living with him, I had no problem. Suppose I was not in the joint family, Ramesh, I don't think I would have remained in the market. I would have to take up a job.
No savings.
No savings. I had a savings. I had 5,000 Tata Power.
But if you kept spending it...
Yeah, and I didn't want to spend it, right? So then I realized that, see, the passport to growth is capital. And no father is going to give it, no father-in-law is going to give it. So that capital had to come through trading. And then that's when I decided, then I had a friend, Mr. Bajaj, he was very bullish in Sesa Goa. So he told me about Sesa Goa, and I believed at 27 rupees, Sesa Goa, and the iron ore prices are fixed annually. The prices were announced for the next year, and stocks was available at 27, 28 rupees. So that was really the first punt of my life, that I bought about 2.5 lakh shares of Sesa Goa at 27, 28. Then I bought another 2.5 lakh shares at 35, 36. And those shares went to a price of 65 rupees in 6 months.